What's up, Dragon Brood? We're doing more of those decks from Crimson Vow, or decks that will have Crimson Vow. Some are older, some are newer. But regardless of the fact, you want to make sure you don't miss any. Be sure to remember to hit that subscribe and notification bell to make sure you get all of them, because we still have a couple more days till the set releases, and I got more decks coming. You don't want to miss those. But today, we're going to be talking about Dimir Zombies. And I know, like, we had a set that was all about werewolves, and we have a set that's all about vampires. But there's still zombies floating around in both of them, and we got some new ones in this set. And we did have a version already that played pretty well. Matter of fact, we had a mono black and we had a blue black zombie deck last season. But this one we're going to go with blue black because there's some very interesting cards we want to talk about. So let's get into it and take a look at this Dimir Zombies list with Crimson Vow cards. Okay, so this is going to be an interesting build because we're kind of in two minds here with this deck. Like, some of the zombie stuff we got that's really good is a touch slower than we want it to be. But we still got a lot of early aggressive things. So it's kind of like splitting hairs, and what we decided is we're going to play basically an aggressive early version with a couple of cards to help that, and one or two that'll help us survive sweepers and late game kind of situations. And I think this will get us where we want to go. So we're going to start with two Blood Chief's Thirst because we got to have some ways to remove creatures, and this is going to be one of the cards we're going to be playing. We're playing a full set of Champion of the Parish, and this is a card that came out last set, and no surprise we're playing this. I mean, it just gets bigger every turn, every time you have a zombie come into play. You even have some stuff that puts more zombies into play, so you could get this very large very quickly. Then we're going to play Shambling Ghast, and this is where I really struggled because I wasn't sure if I wanted this to be the 2-1 zombie, if I wanted to go with Shambling Ghast. And what really swung it for me is the fact that we are going to be playing two colors. Admittedly, not a lot of blue cards, but it gives us a chance to hit that mana when we want. And it gives us just a little bit more since we have a couple of things that you can pay extra cost for. You can spend some extra mana to make a bigger creature. We wanted to give ourselves at least the option to do that more consistently. And it kind of doubles as a little bit of removal depending on how we use it. Now, of course, because we're going this creature route, we are going to be playing Blade Stitched Scab, which is a blue and a black for a 2/3 creature, where all your other zombies get +1/+0. The only downside is I wish you gave a +1/+1, but that might be too much to ask. But at least getting +1/+0 really does make a difference. Now, one of the new cards we're taking a look at is a rare. It's Graph Reaver, a colorless and a black for a 3/3. Exploit, whenever it enters the battlefield, you can sacrifice a creature. If you do, destroy a planeswalker, which is great, because I have a feeling there will be a couple of planeswalkers still floating around. And at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose a life. Now, admittedly, some of you are saying, why would I want to play that if I lose a life? But it's a 2-mana 3/3. And possibly, maybe it's a 4 power or 5 power, depending on what you have on the board. This is still a very good card. Now, there's going to be some times you just run it into combat to see if your opponent will block it and keep you from losing the life. That's fine, but you're going to be able to go fast and wide, so hopefully that downside won't really hit you too badly. We're playing a full set of Tainted Adversary because, well, it's Death Touch. And truthfully, when you're talking about, especially early in the season where there's going to be other aggressive decks, having Death Touch to battle other creatures can actually be very good. And then it also has the upside of being able to spend mana to put other zombies into play. Now, admittedly, they're zombies with Decayed, so that's not great, but they do actually do things like trigger your Champion of the Parish, but, also just give you other bodies to try to clean up things with. We're playing 3 white, and this is what I debated as well, because I kind of wanted 4, but I'm not sure where things are going to sit as far as how many times I want creatures that come into play tapped or not. And the difference here is, like, if you saw the vampire deck, we do have the Forebear, which is a 3/1 flyer, but it also flies, so its drawback isn't as big because on the aggressive side it gets to punch through. A white is a 3/2 on the ground, and that's not necessarily as good, but it is still nice because, if you happen to kill something, you do get another zombie, which we like that part. So yeah, we're still going to play 3 just to see how it works out. I have 2 copies of Agadeem's Awakening just to help our mana a little bit, but also let us get stuff out of the yard. Because we're going to have stuff at nearly every casting cost, if we even get to just 6 or 7 mana with this, we'd be getting probably 3 or 4 different creatures back out of the graveyard. So, loving that right now. We're trying 4 Headless Rider, and this is a 3/1 for 3. Whenever you have, or whenever this or another zombie you control dies, non-token zombie, you get to put a 2/2 black zombie token creature into play. A couple of things here is that this is very good protection against sweepers because everything dies and then you get a token for them, which is great. It also puts 2/2 zombies into play that are not decayed, so you get a permanent 2/2 that you can do stuff with. Also very cool. And it's a pretty efficient 3/1 for 3, which we like. It's got upside. Unfortunately, it's a 1 toughness, but you know what? I'll take the good with the bad in this case. I'm trying out 1 Hero's Downfall, but if you don't want to put this in here, feel free to play another Blood Chief's Thirst. I think that would be fine. We're playing 1 Ebon Death Draco Lich just to have a little bit of that long game or another way to block flyers if necessary. We're trying 2 copies of Necro Duality. Now this card seems kind of goofy. I didn't want to play a full set of it. It's 3 colors and a blue enchantment. Whenever you have a non-token zombie come into play, you get to make a copy of it. This is actually big because you have stuff like the Scab that we were talking about, that if you can get that down and now you get your zombies all get +2/+0, that's pretty big. You know, even being able to just get more Champion of the Parish, or for that matter, if you have a Champion of the Parish out, that's 2 counters every time you play a creature, right? So it's got a few different things it works with in the deck. I just don't know how powerful it's going to be, so we didn't want to go all in and go crazy and play 4, but I thought it was worth it to at least play 2 and try it out. Now, one of the other new cards that's very interesting in this list is Overcharged Amalgam. 2 colorless, blue, 3/3, flying, flash, exploit. Again, you can sacrifice a creature when it comes into play. If you do, you counter target spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. Now, as you've seen through the deck list, we do have a few different ways to get copies or get other zombies into play. So there's a good chance we're going to have some tokens that we can just get rid of with this. But the amazing thing is it lets you copy a triggered ability, activated ability, or just a spell outright. All of those are great. Like, and this is if somebody goes to use a Planeswalker, if you know, they put their, let's say, Eska's Chariot into play, you can counter that trigger so they don't get the tokens. Like if somebody goes to remove one of your things, or just get rid of a sweeper, right? You can go ahead and just play this for 4 mana, and it's huge. The upside is great on this, and it's a 3/3 flyer when you're done that, again, might actually have a higher power toughness. So, or at least higher power. Sorry, we don't have toughness boosters in here. But overall, I think this is a very, very good card. And it's going to put these zombie decks in a situation where if you're playing against them, you almost have to play around this card even if you don't like it, because worst case scenario is if they don't do anything, well, during their end step, you just play a 3/3 flyer and get to attack with it because it has flash. So lots of stuff going on with this list that I think we're really going to like. As far as the lands, we're just going to play 4 of the Clearwater Pathway. We're playing 4 of the Shipwreck Marsh. Playing just 2 Faceless Havens because we do have multiple colors we want to hit. Oh, by the way, I forgot, we are playing 2 Narfies. They're hiding out in here in the list as well. Narfi does actually pump all the zombies +1/+1. And the biggest thing is, one of the main reasons we're playing Snow Mana is so we can get Narfies out of the graveyard. Narfi's a 4/3 for 5 mana. You can pay 3 snow, and if it's in the graveyard, you just get it back into play tapped. So another way to have recursive creatures and really help you push through the end of the game against those slower decks, if possible. But back to the lands, like I said, we're playing 4 Clearwater Pathway, 2 Faceless Haven, 4 Shipwreck Marsh. We're playing 4 islands, and the rest are snow-covered swamps. So yeah, really, snow is mostly here for the Faceless Havens and the Narfi. Feel free to do without those if you want to go a different route, but I do think they add a little bit of extra to the deck and give you a little bit of that longer game. So yeah, I think this version of the deck is pretty nice because I don't feel like we're going to get caught without late game plays. I also feel like we're not going to get caught without early plays. And if you get in the stalemates that are likely to happen from time to time against other aggressive decks, I think it's very cool that you actually have ways to work around it. You have decent kill cards. You have ways to get multiples of your creatures with Necro Duality. So there's some fun things this deck's doing that the previous versions weren't able to do. Now, as always, don't forget, if you want this deck list, it will be down in the description below, along with links to our Facebook gaming streams and our Twitch streams if you want to come by and just work on deck list live or give input, or if you just want to come by our Discord and just have conversations about your decks or what the format's starting to shape up like, feel free to check that link out as well. Also, I'm about to send out a poll, so if you're not a member, you may have just missed the first one, but you maybe can get in on the second one. For just 99 cents, we do have memberships here on the channel, and you will get to dictate what's going to show up here on this page. So that's pretty cool. But if nothing else, please help me out so these videos get seen, because they don't get near the traction that my regular gameplay videos do, and I'm doing this as a service, putting in a lot of time, coming up with deck lists, putting out decks for everybody. Remember to please like, subscribe, share, let everybody know that we're doing these, and hopefully they reach all the people who need deck lists going into Crimson Vow season. But as always, that's all I have for you for now. We'll see you next time.